Reality doesn't change when you chase it, only when you become still enough to see it. You've been trying to visualize, trying to affirm, trying to believe. Every morning, you whisper the same intentions into the universe, hoping this time it listens. You picture your dream life down to the smallest detail, the success, the love, the peace. But no matter how vividly you imagine it, it feels like the universe keeps slipping through your fingers. Beat. You start wondering if you're missing something, if maybe you're not focused enough, not spiritual enough, not doing the rituals right. You meditate harder, you script longer, you speak your affirmations louder, but deep down something feels off. It's as if the harder you reach, the farther it drifts away, like chasing a reflection on water. Every ripple of effort distorts the image you're trying to touch, and that's the paradox no one talks about. Manifestation doesn't fail because you're doing it wrong. It fails because you're trying to make it happen. Pause. Soften tone. Effort carries a frequency, a vibration of lack, and when you chase from lack, you're unconsciously telling the universe, I don't have it yet, I'm still waiting. I'm still separate from what I desire. But the quantum field doesn't respond to words. It responds to vibration. The more you try to make it happen, the more you reinforce the truth that it hasn't happened yet. Slightly slower, intimate tone. Imagine standing before a perfectly still lake. The surface mirrors your face with absolute clarity. But the moment you move your hands to grab it, ripples appear and the reflection disappears. The stiller you become, the clearer the image returns. The universe works the same way. It doesn't need you to chase. It needs you to match it. Longer pause. So before we go deeper, take a breath. Let go just for a moment of trying to make it happen. Because maybe the universe has been trying to reach you all along. Chapter 2. The quantum field doesn't speak effort. It speaks frequency. When you stop trying, you begin to feel something else. A quiet rhythm beneath the noise of thought. That rhythm, that still pulse, is the language of the universe. Because the quantum field doesn't speak effort. It speaks frequency. Everything that exists, the stars, the cells in your body, every thought you think is vibration. Energy moving at different speeds, colliding, dancing, creating form from the invisible. And this field, this ocean of quantum possibility, is listening to you every moment. Not to your words, not to your rituals, but to the vibration beneath them. When you affirm, I am abundant, but feel fear inside, the field hears the fear. When you visualize love, but carry loneliness in your chest, the field mirrors the loneliness, because the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you are. Quantum physicists call this the observer effect. The act of observing something changes what's being observed. In other words, your state of consciousness shapes the outcome. When you observe reality through lack, you collapse timelines that reflect lack. When you observe through trust, peace, and gratitude, you collapse realities that match those vibrations. Your body is the transmitter. Your thoughts send the signal, but your emotions decide the frequency. Neuroscience calls this coherence. When your brain and heart vibrate in harmony, they create an electromagnetic signature that ripples into the quantum field. It's measurable, real. And when you're in that coherent state, your intentions travel farther, your manifestations align faster, and synchronicities start to unfold, like falling dominoes, but when you try too hard. When your heart races with doubt and your mind loops in control, your signal becomes distorted, like static on an untuned radio. The song of your desire is still playing. You just can't hear it through the noise of resistance. So what's the solution? You don't force the signal. You tune to it, you become still. You breathe, you shift from how can I get it to who must I become to match it. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to the energy of chasing. It responds to the frequency of having. And when you hold that frequency not as a wish, but as your truth, reality has no choice but to align. Chapter 3: The Illusion of Control. When the mind tries to play God. Now that you understand the field speaks in frequency, a new question begins to rise within you. If I can't try my way into alignment, then what do I do? It's a fair question because from birth, we've been trained to control, to plan, predict, and force outcomes into existence. You were told that hard work makes things happen, that success is earned through effort, not energy, and while there's truth in action, there's also bondage in control. See, the human mind is addicted to certainty. It wants guarantees, it wants to know what's coming next. Because uncertainty feels like death to the ego. So when you try to manifest, and things don't unfold right away, the mind panics, it grabs the wheel. It starts micromanaging timelines, asking when will it come, why hasn't it happened yet? What am I doing wrong? But the moment you fall into that energy, you stop co-creating and start controlling. And control is born from fear. Fear that the universe might forget you. Fear that your dream might pass you by. Fear that if you stop holding on, it'll all collapse. But here's the truth most people miss. The universe doesn't need you to force it open. It needs you to trust it will. Because control is tension, and tension collapses flow. Think of a butterfly inside its cocoon. If it struggles too soon, if it tears through before it's ready, its wings never develop strong enough to fly. The resistance of the cocoon isn't punishment. It's precision. The struggle builds strength. The stillness builds form. And when the time is right, the wings unfold effortlessly. You too are in your cocoon of becoming. And maybe the reason your manifestation hasn't appeared yet isn't because it's not meant for you, but because you're still growing. The wings to receive it, the illusion of control, tells you to break the shell open. But the higher truth whispers, stay present, trust the process. The universe is sculpting you. And that trust, that surrender is not weakness. It's the moment your energy stops distorting the signal and begins to align with divine timing. Because when you stop trying to play God, you finally make space for God to move through you. And that brings us to the next step, where resistance finally begins to dissolve, and surrender becomes your most precise form of manifestation. Chapter 4: The Collapse of Resistance. Surrender as quantum precision. Surrender, the word alone feels dangerous to the mind, because to the ego surrender sounds like giving up, but to the universe surrender is alignment. It's the exact moment you stop broadcasting chaos and start transmitting clarity. See, resistance isn't some mystical block the universe throws at you. Resistance is the static between you and your desired frequency. It's what happens when your inner state contradicts your intention when you say, "I believe," but your body still trembles with doubt. When you visualize peace, but your heart beats with urgency. Every pulse of fear, every spark of impatience. It all creates interference in the signal. It's like trying to send a radio message. While shouting over it, the universe hears the noise, not the message. In quantum physics, we call this decoherence. When a system loses its alignment and collapses into randomness, your energy field works the same way. The more you resist what is, the more fragmented your vibration becomes. But surrender is coherence. When you stop fighting, the moment your energy reorganizes itself, your brain waves slow from frantic beta into calm alpha. Your heart's electromagnetic field becomes rhythmic and strong, and in that coherence, your vibration becomes pure enough for the quantum field to recognize it. This isn't theory, it's measurable. Researchers have found that a calm, coherent heart can literally entrain the brain, creating a resonance that extends beyond the body. That resonance, that still frequency, is what collapses potential into reality. Think of a drop of ink falling into clear water. If the water is still, the ink forms beautiful patterns, spreading evenly through the space. But if the water is turbulent, the ink disperses chaotically. The same happens with energy. Your intentions only take form when the water within you, your emotional field, is still. That's what surrender really is. It's not waiting. It's knowing. Knowing that what you desire already exists in another timeline, and trusting that your stillness invites it closer. So, instead of asking, "How do I make this happen?" ask, "How can I align with the version of me where it already has?" Because surrender is not passive. It's precise. It's you saying, "I no longer vibrate from need. I vibrate from being," and in that moment, the universe has no resistance left to push against. It can finally move. When you stop grasping, the current carries you. When you stop controlling, the path unfolds. When you stop questioning, answers begin to echo from the silence. Because the universe has always been listening. It was just waiting for you to become quiet enough to hear its reply. Chapter 5: The Flow State. Manifestation through harmony, not force. When you finally surrender, something miraculous begins to happen. The energy that once felt heavy and tangled starts to move. The space that once felt silent begins to sing. You stop thinking about what's missing and start feeling what's already here. This is the flow state. It's the point where intention and surrender merge, where doing and being dissolve into one seamless current in the flow. You're not pushing, you're participating. You become an instrument, and life plays through you like music. Athletes call it the zone. Artists call it inspiration. Mystics call it union with Source. But in every language it means the same thing. You've aligned your vibration so perfectly that the universe can express itself through your hands, your thoughts, your breath. Neuroscience shows that during flow, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain obsessed with control, actually quietens down. It's called transient hypofrontality. Your inner critic fades, time loses, meaning your awareness expands. And that's the magic, because manifestation happens in that timeless state. You stepped outside of when and how you've become the field itself. The universe doesn't feel separate anymore. It feels like your reflection. Synchronicities multiply, the right people appear. Ideas download like lightning, and everything that once felt like coincidence suddenly feels like choreography. Because when you stop rowing upstream, you realize the current was always flowing toward your dream. It just needed you to stop fighting it. Flow doesn't mean you sit back and wait for miracles. It means you move, but from inspiration. Not desperation, you act, but from alignment, not anxiety. When your actions are born from coherence, you no longer chase outcomes. You attract experiences that match your state. And that's what manifestation really is. Not the art of forcing energy into form, but the science of harmonizing with what's already forming. So when you feel resistance rise again, when the mind starts to doubt, remember this: you are not separate from the flow. You are the flow, and every moment you remember that, reality begins to reshape itself around your calm. Chapter 6: The Mirror Principle. The universe reflects who you are, not what you want. Reality is not a vending machine. It doesn't respond to words, lists, or desperate affirmations. It responds to states of being. Because the universe is not listening to what you say. It's reading the energy of what you are. Every thought you think sends out a frequency, but every emotion you feel anchors that frequency into matter. You can't hide it, you can't fake it. The field mirrors your coherence perfectly, precisely, without judgment. When you beg for love from lack, the mirror shows you loneliness. When you chase abundance from fear, the mirror reflects scarcity. When you force the dream from doubt, the mirror cracks and all you see is resistance. It's not punishment, it's precision. The quantum field is a perfect feedback loop. Your inner vibration shapes the waveform, and the world simply collapses into that form. So if the mirror keeps showing you struggle, the key isn't to yell at the reflection. The key is to become the version of you that already holds what you seek. Feel it first, not in imagination alone, but in frequency and breath. In presence, in the silence between thoughts. Neuroscience calls this neural embodiment. When you consistently feel a new emotional signature, your brain rewires to match it. The body begins to believe before the proof arrives. And the field, the quantum hologram around you, starts reorganizing itself accordingly. This is not wishful thinking. This is resonance. You don't pull reality towards you. You tune yourself to it. Think of a radio dial. You can't force a song to play. You simply shift frequencies until it's already playing through you. That's manifestation. Not the summoning of a new reality, but the remembering of the one already vibrating within you. So the question is no longer, how do I make this happen? The real question is, who must I become for this to feel natural? Because the moment you embody that answer, the mirror stops reflecting resistance. and starts reflecting your truth. Chapter 7. The Quantum Calm Returning to the Observer Within. And now, after all the trying, the reaching, the letting go, you finally return home, not to a place, not to a goal, but to awareness itself. The calm space within you that was never chasing, never lacking, never afraid. This is where manifestation truly begins. Not from movement, but from stillness. Not from desire, but from remembrance. When you rest in the observer, the part of you that simply sees without judging, you enter quantum coherence. You become the witness through which creation observes itself. Physics calls this the observer effect. The simple act of observation collapses infinite possibilities into one. But here's the secret most people miss. It isn't about looking harder. It's about seeing clearer. The calmer the observer, the sharper the manifestation. Because clarity is the language of the field. When your heart and mind align in peace, you no longer project noise into the quantum fabric. You project truth. And in that silence, synchronicity returns. The phone call arrives, the path opens. The idea lands softly in your awareness. Not because you forced it, but because you became still enough to receive it. The universe has always been whispering. You were just too busy shouting your fears. So breathe slowly, deeply. Every inhale draws in the infinite. Every exhale releases control. You are not here to dominate reality. You are here to dance with it, to co-create, to flow. When you remember that, you stop chasing timelines and start collapsing them. Effortlessly, time bends to the coherent heart. Reality rearranges itself around your surrender. And the dream you once strained for starts arriving. Through ease, grace, and timing. So let this be your closing truth. You don't manifest by becoming more. You manifest by remembering who you've always been. A conscious frequency breathing through human form, playing hide and seek with its own infinite potential. And maybe, just maybe, that's the whole point. Not to control the quantum field, but to become aware that you already are it. If something within you awakened during this journey, pause and let it settle. Then write in the comments below, I am the observer. Let that be your declaration. A signal to the field that you've remembered. Because once you remember, every reality becomes possible.